humble beginnings, right? So we're here in my grandparents' garage. This is where we're starting our archery company. And we're getting ready for TAC coming up in Durango in July. And I've got some arrows to cut. So with that being said, the arrows that I'm cutting today, I had these cut at Sportsman's Warehouse. And these are made by Easton, and these are the Sportsman's Warehouse Vital Impact Pros. Now, these are a 6mm arrow. Granted, everybody and their brother likes to shoot 5 mils. I do too. I actually have half a dozen of 5mm Axis arrows, and that's why I bought these arrows, because I got a dozen of these for about 80 bucks full price at Sportsman's Warehouse. So that's pretty cheap. If you're doing stuff like TAC, you're going to lose arrows, you're going to break arrows. For stump thumping around in the back of the yard, for small game, stuff like that. These are an awesome arrow that you can jack up. They fly very accurately. They are very consistent. They are very strong. These are the 300 spine. And with that being said, these match up very well weight-wise to 5mm Easton Axis Pro, or I'm sorry, Easton Axis 5 mils in 300 spine. Now, these are 10.2 grains per inch, and Easton Axis is 10.7 grains per inch. I'm only losing half a grain per inch in weight with these arrows. So, if you want a cheap Easton Axis 5mm replacement, something that you can shoot the piss out of and do it well, these are a great arrow. With that being said, great bang for your buck. Sportsman's Warehouse makes these arrows. Well, actually, Easton makes these arrows for Sportsman's Warehouse. Let's not get that twisted. A great arrow, a great value. Go check them out. You can't even find, I've looked to find the comparable version of this arrow on Easton's website, and I cannot find it. You can only get these from Sportsman's Warehouse. Anyway, enough about the arrows. Those are awesome. Now, we're gonna be cutting these arrows on my mod saw. And if you haven't gotten a mod saw yet, you need to get a mod saw. I bought the deluxe version because, well, I'm running an archery shop now and I need to have a good arrow saw. And hands down, bang for the buck, this is the best arrow saw I've ever used. It has everything I need in one stop. I don't even need to bring out my ASD anymore. I can just use this thing. It's got a squaring stone here on the end. These bearings on these rollers right here are just phenomenal. These are like the same thing that are in skateboard wheels. They spin so nicely. I don't know if you can see this or not, but this right here, this moves. So you put your arrow on these and you can spin it, and it's even got an index point for you to watch the point spin. So you get a good reference of whether or not your point is square. So if you haven't heard of these or seen these, Mod Saw is where it's at. This whole product is just phenomenal how it's set up. Buy one. That's all I gotta say. Buy one. It's got everything you need. It's in one compact package. This thing, you can pick it up, move it out of the way. Like, it's on hardware rail, like this, that aluminum channel stuff that you get at the hardware store that you hang things on walls with. This is like the same thing you hang industrial lighting with. Amazing product. These guys did a phenomenal job. I can't say enough about them. Buy the deluxe. You're not going to regret it. Yes, it's a little bit more money, but you're going to end up having to buy these extras later if you're really serious about making arrows. And that's where I'm starting. I'm building arrows and doing bow tuning for the time being until I can get enough room and a place to start selling archery equipment. So that's what we're doing. Anyway, with that being said, let's get into it. I got some arrows I got to trim down that are in my box. All right, bow shop in a box. So I recently acquired a lot more tools and supplies and went down to Harbor Freight. I got me this sweet little Bauer toolkit, toolbox. I've had two of these for a hot minute. I got this one I worked at Cabela's. This one's a heavier weight one. You can see I've used it on aluminum to tune broadheads. These little stones that you get, I got this with a set of Axis arrows. And these two things are like the handiest squaring devices I've ever used. You set them on a bench, square up your arrow a little bit, and then you bring it over to like an ASD or something. So these also open up the end of the arrow to make inserts go in easier. Definitely a worthwhile tool if you can get your hands on one. They're not hard to find. You could probably even ask your archery guy for one if you're building your own arrows. You can get them from the arrow shop. I guarantee you they come in a box of arrows and they don't give them back to you, because I know we used to keep them all the time. So anyway, I'm gonna strip the vanes off these arrows. I got this sweet vane stripper from New Archery Products. This is a pretty good one. I like this a lot better than the boning one. It's super sharp, it's super easy, it knocks vanes off real fast. It's a great little arrow vane stripper. I don't use acetone to strip arrows. I've seen guys do that. I've seen guys take the knock off and dip it in a bucket of freaking antifreeze, acetone. And the thing that people don't realize is when you start dipping these arrows into acetone, you start weakening the actual carbon on the back of the arrows. And I've seen after time of building an arrow, of fixing jacked up vanes from shooting and all this other stuff, just from consistent use of an arrow, that when you do that, it weakens the arrow shaft and it causes failure. So anyway, I'm gonna keep stripping these vanes and we'll get back to it when we start pulling inserts and cutting arrows. All right, so we got the vanes stripped off these arrows. I left the inserts in these so I can tell my old arrows from my new arrows that have already been prepped. Obviously, we're gonna clean them up a little bit. And I wanted to show you guys something because I don't have any acetone because I'm an idiot and I forgot to bring it with me. However, non-chlorinated brake parts cleaner or gum out carbon choke cleaner, they all have acetone in them. So you can use brake cleaner as an acetone type product. And what I like to do is I like to get a healthy dose of it on a paper towel here. And because as you can see, I still got some vanes left with glue on my arrows, right? Remember how I told you I don't like to dip them in acetone? So just kind of give them a scrub right here. Get that stuff a little bit looser than it was. I like to hit this while these got some of the vane material on there, just because it helps soften it up, helps take it off easier. So do your major, stripping, and then come back and hit it with a little, brake cleaner. So, tech tip of the day: if you don't have acetone, use brake parts cleaner. Okay, so I got an arrow here, and it's got, as you can see, it's still got quite a bit of vane material on there. The reason why, yes, this is a great arrow stripper, right? But the reason why I don't get too Western with it is I've had sometimes, because this is such a good arrow stripper, it likes to bite into the carbon and take pieces of carbon with it. So if you take your time, right, and you want to do this, right? Well, I don't want to sit there and mess with it for 30 minutes per arrow. So I get my rag nice and wet with some brake clean. I'll hold my arrow on here or in here, hold it around my arrow, spray it with some brake clean, get that wet, as you can see, get it nice and saturated, and just hold this on the arrow. It's starting to peel off itself. This is why I use acetone, because as you can see, I'm like starting to peel this, or I can use brake clean, but it's starting to peel, right? But it's still stubborn, there's still a lot on there. But you take your arrow stripper, and now that they're nice and soft, they peel right off without having to dig into the carbon. There we go. Yeah, we're getting some good stripping action there. But just take 20 seconds, wrap your paper towel around it, get it nice and soaked, and just keep working it, and that stuff comes right off. Yeah, see, that's peeling right off of there. Nice and easy. That stuff, it bonds so good. I learned the hard way with AAE Max vanes that you have to use a pen and primer. I don't care. You can watch all the videos on the internet that you want that tell you, oh, you can get away with using this glue and that glue and yada, yada, yada. Do not do it. Either use tack glue with a primer pen or the Arizona Archery glue with a primer pen. Don't use anything else, because these vanes will not stick. They come off, they'll stick for a minute, but 2 or 3 trips to a target and back, and then the next thing you know is you got veins flying off your arrows. Don't do it. So I don't use wraps. Some people use wraps. I don't use wraps. I will put wraps on people's arrows. I just don't use them. I don't have the time for them. Well, if you used wraps, you wouldn't be doing all this. I have to do this exact same process with wraps too. There's still residue on the arrows with the wraps. But I've noticed that not using wraps helps with FOC. I don't care what anybody says. MFJJ will back me up on that. Granted, it's not a whole lot of weight, but it's still like 6 to 10 grains on the back of your arrow. That's 6 to 10 grains of back balance that you don't need. You're already adding like 21 to the back of these arrows with veins. So that is what it is. But anyway, I wanted to show you that trick with the brake clean. As you can see, like we've got a nice clean arrow here. Quick, easy, down and dirty. All right, so last night we were pulling inserts and I made a big no-no. I wish I wouldn't have gotten mad and did what I did. I ended up snapping the arrow because I was mad because I was an idiot. But I heated the insert up too much to pull it, and it did exactly what I thought it was gonna do. And I don't know where I put the other arrow, but anyway, the end of the arrow ended up splintering on me, and that's what's left of the shell of the arrow. So I wanted to point that out as we move forward, that that's something that can happen, and it does. Well, I ended up successfully pulling another insert, and I like to use a heat gun normally. I don't have my heat gun available, so I'm using a propane torch, and I'm gonna show you how I use a propane torch. Do not, under any circumstance, heat the carbon up with the torch. Do not do that. Instead, what you're going to do is you're going to leave a field point in the insert. So this has cooled down significantly since the last time I pulled it. We're going to reuse these inserts. Yes, you can buy new ones. There's no reason to reuse them. I have to pull them anyway. So I probably said there's no reason to reuse them. There's no reason to use new ones when I'm pulling these anyway and going to be cutting the arrows down. So you're wondering probably why I'm cutting these arrows down. Well, originally when I bought these arrows, I thought I needed 27.5 due to my draw length. I figured out that I only need 27 now. I bought a whole dozen and had them cut at 27. So now I am cutting these at 27. I think I've been over that earlier in the video. Anyway, so we're gonna go over pulling inserts. You can use this with any glue. People will say, well, if you just used hot melt, it'd be easier. It's true, but you can still do this with cyanoacrylate or goat tough, whatever you wanna call it, super glue. But anyway, you put your field point, steel field point in the insert, right? You're gonna need a pair of pliers. I like to have some water handy. I need to grab my knife so I can cut this. I'll show you why. So I use a water bottle, and it makes it just quick and easy, down and dirty. Don't need any special container. Yes, the plastic could possibly melt, but it doesn't, because by the time it hits the water, it cools enough. So you're just gonna cut your water bottle, right? This is probably superfluous information. So there we go. We got a cup of water. Uh-oh, and I spilled it. Thankfully, we got some more. So anyway, got some water. I've done this 100 times as a bow tech before. So anyway, fire up your torch. You don't need a massive flame. I don't even know if you can see the flame. You can hear it. We're gonna turn it down to where it just quits ripping and roaring. And I would say probably like a max of 10 seconds in the flame, if that. So there's about 10 seconds. I can feel the heat in the insert through the carbon. That's kind of what I judge this off of. I don't want it to get too hot. Okay, so that's just too hot for the touch, right? I twist these to the right so it tightens the insert, or well, the field point in the insert. I don't want to get too Western with it because I don't want to break. So that's not enough heat yet. I don't want it to break the end of the arrow. I don't want the insert to get so hot. And you just pull straight out. Don't put any lateral pressure on it. Kind of give some time for that aluminum to heat sink. It's pulling. So maybe we need just a little bit more heat. I heat it a little bit at a time. I don't want to get too Western with the heat. And there we go. See, it's pulling fairly easy now. I'm not pulling very hard at all, but I'm pulling straight. And it's hard for me to pull this straight and show you on the camera and then just drop it in the water. And see, it cooled off enough. It didn't melt a hole in the bottom of my plastic. If you're worried about it, reach in, pull it back out. So there's that. So we pulled an insert successfully. So I'm gonna keep doing this on the rest of these arrows and we'll be back. All right, so it's been a couple days. I had a lot of stuff happen. We won't get into the details, but anyway, we got the inserts pulled out of these arrows. Now, as you can see, there's 5 of these arrows. I don't know if I mentioned in the other video what happens when you get them too hot, but I got one too hot, broke the end of an arrow, couldn't fix it, it's gone. Thankfully, I have 17 arrows now. Anyway, so we've got all the vanes stripped. We got all the inserts pulled out of the arrows that we're trimming down. I've got a dozen that are the right length. I'm making some more that are the right length, and we're about to use the mod saw for the first time. Again, to reiterate, if you have not gotten a mod saw, get a mod saw. These are hands down the greatest bow saw tool, shop tool that you should have. So with that being said, we're gonna get after it and cut some arrows here. Check all of our arrows. And boom, that's it, done. All right, so now we're gonna clean our inserts. I made, instead of the old plastic cup that I used last time, I ran out of carb cleaner, so I just cut the bottom of the can out, made a metal cup. So we're just gonna spray some brake cleaner on these. Don't get too crazy with the cheese whiz. If you get that reference, you can be my friend, because that means you're a 90s kid and you know where it comes from. Probably one of the best movies of the 90s. As the kids say nowadays, no cap. So we just have some of that cyanoacrylate super duty glue. As my oldest used to say when he was younger, awesome glue. So just kind of let that one soak because she's got some stuck on residual. That brake clean has acetone in it, so it pulls this stuff off this aluminum pretty fast. It doesn't eat the aluminum. Every one of these came out looking like new. I don't know if you can see that or not, but just some brake clean and a paper towel, and we got brand new inserts. So everybody's like, oh, why would you reuse your inserts? Because I don't have to buy any more. Those are fine. This is what I do every time. Yeah. Now, if you don't know how to install inserts, I have this Pine Ridge Archery Instant Arrow Glue. I'm not gonna use my tack glue, that's for damn sure. I've always just used this stuff. This is the exact same stuff we used to use when I worked at Cabela's as insert glue. It works pretty well. Now, another thing that I didn't show anybody, and I gotta get my tool out here, is a lot of people forget to do this part, and a lot of people like to use acetone, right? I don't use acetone on the inside of my arrows, and the reason why is it makes them brittle, it makes them weak, it can actually break the front of your arrow. So a bore brush, and you can use a bore brush from a cleaning kit for like rifles and stuff, because the inside of your arrows, I'm trying to remember, I believe 5mm is 204, 6mm like 2 something. But anyway, you can use this bad boy and you just clean the inside of your arrows like so. This does work. This little bore brush right here actually works on 5mm arrows. It's a little tight, but anyway, this just knocks and roughs the inside of the arrow out. So I don't know if a lot of people do that or not. I know when I used to work at the archery store, and it was a pet peeve of mine, guys would take a Q-tip, and I still use a Q-tip, I just don't use acetone. So I use like a glass cleaner or alcohol, and you just swab the inside of this after you rough this up. Like, the key here is you're giving the glue, whatever glue it is you use, hot glue, goat tough, that Pine Ridge glue, which basically is goat tough, whatever glue it is that you're using on your inserts, epoxy, it gives it a tooth to grab onto. It gives it just a little bit of a rough surface to adhere to, so it sticks better, so your inserts don't pull out when you're pulling them out of a target. So it's pretty self-explanatory. You put some glue on the insert. You know, some people like to have their paper towel right here. I'm just, yeah, whatever. I'm leaving a paper towel there so I don't get glue on the counter. It feels like this has a little bit more cleaner on it, so I'm gonna wipe it with my paper towel real quick. I just put a bead down the front here in a circular pattern. People like to do it long ways. I don't. So then twist, tap, boom, and then clean up the excess. Boom, done. See? Don't need a lot. You don't need a lot. Like, everybody thinks you need enough to fill these barbs. There's a reason why those barbs are there. You don't need a lot of glue. Matter of fact, I'll show you about how much you need. That's probably, hopefully that's focusing. God bless. There we go. Come on, focus. Hello, hi. So yeah. Come on, you. Whatever, you can see it right there. That's about all the glue you need. And yes, we have an extra insert left over because, you know, we destroyed an arrow pulling an insert. So you don't have to get too Western with this either. Just enough to seat it, because I've seen guys that are like, oh, and then break the end of an arrow. So anyway, there you go. The arrows are cut, the arrows are glued. We'll let those inserts do their thing, and now we'll move on to fletching. We've got our inserts in. Our arrows are all the same length. We've got all of our nocks, which we didn't glue in, and we're ready to start fletching. So let's get to it. So I call this my bow shop in a box. I have everything that I need for doing archery work in here. I am not going to use this glue, as a matter of fact. So I just remembered that. I need to get my new glue out. But yeah, I keep all my stuff in here. Like, it has everything that I need to be portable, so I can take it with me everywhere I go. It pretty much has everything I need minus my bow vise, or my bow press, and my bow vise. So yeah, anyway, This is the Bauer stack-a-box system, I guess you want to call it. I don't know what else to call it, but yeah. So then in this one, I have all of my vanes, and I can just take those out. I don't have to dig through there. I was thinking about red, white, and blue. Should I do red, white, and blue? Yeah, we're gonna do red, white, and blue. Hell with it. Hell with it. Because why not, right? Red, white, and blue. So then we can just stack this on top of here, like so. Slide those in, and now it's all one box. And I've already got everything I need. So I've got my vanes. Now, if you're gonna use these, I use Max Hunter vanes. I love the Max Hunter vanes. Hopefully that focuses. Max Hunter vanes. So anyway, Max Hunter vanes. I use the tack glue. Now you can use the AAE glue too, but you need to use a primer pin and glue system for these, because if you don't, they won't stick. I just know from experience. I've tried using every other glue that I can. I have handled these arrows probably too much. We're gonna just spray a little bit of brake clean on this rag here. And we're legit just gonna wipe these arrows one more time. I put them back on a clean paper towel just so nothing gets stuck on them, nothing touches them. And this Arizona Easy Fletch, I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but this is the fletching jig that I use. I've used Bits and Burgers, I've used, you know, the OMP fletching jig, I've used the boning fletching jigs, I've used them all. Are they bad? No, not at all. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. I use the Arizona Easy Fletch, and some people give me crap for that. I don't care. The cool thing about the Easy Fletch, I don't know if a lot of people know it or not. I'm sure people that shoot archery a lot do. You can actually change the arms out on this Easy Fletch. So whether you get the mini or the big one, it doesn't matter. They work on every one of them. The base is the same. So you can buy one fletching jig and you can change the arms out, and you can change from mini right to mini left, which means left helical, right helical, or straight fletch, however you want to do it. I like a helical Arizona Easy Fletch. It gives me a true helical. It's quick, it's easy, it's down and dirty. This is going to be one of those things where it doesn't have to be perfect, right? It doesn't have to be perfect, right? But I like to match, so I like them all consistent. I learned this not too long ago, but this actually comes from the days of Mr. Old Saxton Pope. And on your knock, let's see if we can get it to shoot here. Let's see if we can see this. Come on, focus. There we go. Okay, so if you look right here on the edge of your knock, there's like a, you'll feel, it's only on one side of every knock, right? And it's like a tip or like a little index point, if you will. And you can feel it. It's a raised edge on the edge of every knock. So with that being said, we're just gonna, I know that I had them all lined up, but that's because I wanted to get them all in the general area and know exactly how I wanted these. So yeah, now that we know that, I'm going to turn these to where that index on the knock is pointed toward the word carbon on my arrows. We're getting lucky on some of these because they're pretty much indexed already. And the cool thing is if you use your pliers and look down the arrow, you can kind of look down the groove of your pliers and get it pretty much right where you want it. So Some people like to glue their nocks in. I don't. And the reason why is because nocks break easier than inserts. And if my nock breaks off, the base of the nock is stuck in my arrow, and I'm stuck with having to find a drill bit to drill that out. And I've had to do that, or trying to pull those out with super glue. It's almost impossible. I just don't like to mess with that. I like to be able to just pull my nocks if I need them. If they get a little loose or whatever, I just change them out. We also have a nock tool here we can use. We'll do that real quick. I guess I could use that to index these nocks as well. So in this nock tool that I just dropped, there's also, basically it's got a side for that index piece, and that's how you put your nock in that nock tool. So I know that that index is on this side, and if you look at your nock tool also, there's a dimple on this side and not on this side. That is a reference to that dimple or that little bead that goes on these nocks. Get your tool, boom. Like I said, it don't have to be like super close, just close enough, right? So feel for that index. I keep this tool in my hand just like this, in line with my index finger. I keep that nipple on my index finger side. I find that nipple on the nock. Again, just find that letter or the word carbon, look down the arrow, get it close, start it with the tool, and then I just push it down with the table. Don't get too Western with it. There we go. Get it seated. Definitely get your nock seated, because that's a good way to lose a nock. That's what I like about these cool little plastic tools, is they're just quick and easy. Yeah, I was using my pliers. I forgot I had this. So definitely hang on to these. These are handy to have. So I'm just gonna set this on the table. I'm gonna put something heavy on it to keep it from moving, my pliers. I'm just gonna spray a little bit of brake clean on here. I'm getting a little low. There we go. So now we're gonna take our veins and we're just kind of give them a wipe. Set them in the jig. If I had a multitude of these, which eventually I'm going to get a multitude of these, I would be able to do, basically half a dozen arrows in 30 seconds. This primer pin is key. You want to make sure that you're at least seeing it get on the vein, because if you don't, these will not stick. All right. Let's see if we can get this to zoom. There we go. All right, so you don't need a lot of glue on here. I literally try to just run as good a bead as I can down this. And then I smooth it out with the nozzle. Just try to get it all over and you're literally just trying to get this groove wet. So hopefully you can see that. You don't need a lot. You can see it's shiny. That's how you know you got enough. And we're gonna do that on all three. And like I said, the primer pin, it's just for the veins. You don't have to put it on the arrow. Because if you're putting it on the arrow, you're wasting it. Cool. There we go. Now, remember what I was saying about indexing the arrow? So I want, because I know, there we go. So there's a, like I said, there's a nock holder down in the bottom of that. And I want that lined up with my nock. Now I know that my nock is lined up with my thing. Actually, we're gonna do that right there. We're lined up with the carbon logo. Take that, and don't forget your cap. You have to use your cap. And then just press your cap on. Let it sit for 15 seconds. And there you go. So we're gonna keep doing that on every one of these arrows. And we gotta remember that white, blue, red, so we keep our arrows consistent. So yeah, that's how you do that. There we go. Got them all done. And it took me probably 40 minutes to fletch all those. So yeah, I like that. That's one of my favorite ways to do it, is with that Arizona Easy Fletcher. Probably one of the handiest things to use. But yeah, all you gotta do is set your stuff up before. Prep, like with paint, right? It's all in the prep. So if you prepare your materials good enough, prep your arrows good enough, get them set up, get your jig set up, right? I mean, it goes pretty fast. So in my opinion, being able to do that many arrows in 40 minutes is cheaper than buying, 6 jigs and spending an hour and a half doing it. Some people are faster, some people are slower, but I don't know. In my opinion, like if I had a couple more of these, I could have freaking flown through this. I could have had 6 going at a time. I plan on buying a couple more of these just because I'm doing more arrow builds. So yeah, anyway, those are the arrows, and stay tuned. We're gonna be doing some bow tuning here in the next couple days. So, but yeah, got our arrows all built. Well, we'll be testing our arrows. We'll be marking our arrows. That way we know which arrows we like the most, and we'll figure out a way how to mark these arrows. That way we know, hey, 9 times out of 10, I just put a mark on a vein, and I'll mark these arrows 1 through whatever, and best to worst, or I'll group them in groups of 1, 2, 3. So I'll have. Granted, it doesn't matter who you are or what kind of brand it is, you're gonna have arrows that fly good and arrows that fly bad. It's just a matter of fact. So that's why I'm saying I'm gonna probably group these. I'll probably find 6 good arrows. I'll probably, I could even change out the knock, make all the good arrows have this new knock on them. I don't know, we'll figure it out. I gotta get some more field points in the meantime, so yeah. That's where we're at. But that's the arrow build. Hopefully you guys got something out of it. If you'd like to know more, if there's anything else that you would like to learn or know or have questions about, leave a comment. I don't know everything, but I know a lot. But that's how you do that. I mean, hopefully that's a pretty down and dirty of how to fletch arrows. Like I said, if you're using the Max veins, I'm pretty much any vein, like tack vein. I'm sold on the primer glue setup. Like, I'm gonna be looking into more adhesives, doing reviews on adhesives and stuff like that. But I like to use what I know works, and this tack glue and the AAE glue are 2 glues that I know work. Anyway, that's the down and dirty. Hopefully you guys got something out of it. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, hit me up. Any criticism's good criticism, so even the haters have something good to say once in a while. I've found that, good leadership learns more from failure than they do from success. So whatever I can do better to make these videos better. And like I said, we're gonna be doing some bow tuning here in the next couple days, so I'll have that video out here soon. And I gotta put new strings on my bow and get it all ready for tack. I gotta get the boys' bow all set up and ready for tack. Once again, let me know what you guys wanna learn and we'll learn it. Stay awesome, shoot straight, and thanks for tuning in to Charlie Bravo Outdoors. Peace out.